the semifinals day. I am Luci. I'm going to be your first commentator for today, and I'm joined by Crucial Gaming.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, not too bad, not too bad. How are you, Luci? So, but for today, we have SugarBabies versus Ghost for our semi-finals. Two, let's say, new teams that has come out from our high-tier rank currently. We have never seen them in any tourneys before, but their performance for the past 2 weeks has been incredible against their opponents.
I agree, like, more than exceptional. We've seen them, the Hunters have played extremely well. Ghost Hunter, I believe, opened up their first round with a 4-man victory, so...
Yeah, Ghost Hunter is LX. If I do remember correctly, LX played Hermit first for round 1 from Ghost side, and then, of course, from SugarBabies, we still have Kudu Lanux here. I'm going to call him Kudu. We still have Kudu here. Kudu is a very strong Dream Witch, and, you know, niche as a lot of other hunters as well, but his Dream Witch is definitely worth to be noted from Ghost Survivor side, as they need to pick team comps that counters his Dream Witch, but also to not get recountered by whatever team comp that the Ghost Survivors are going to do, because Kutu does run a lot of hunters like, you know, BQ, there is Spider if I'm not wrong, Dream Witch, Sculptor, a lot of other hunters that Ghost Survivors has to be very careful about.
That's because a lot of these good hunters, and especially with these two teams, I mean, we've seen the depth at which they've played. I mean, a lot of the times you see these higher tier tournaments, it's really meta based. But I mean, especially with the Hermit picks and all these other hunters, I mean, we've seen a lot of depth in this tournament in general with a lot of the teams.
Yeah.
A lot of off meta or outside of meta picks with the hunters. So I mean, survivors are kind of just being really safe and with ban picks, and I think we've honestly seen a unique, I would say, either order of survivor picks or, I mean, unique survivor picks in general. Dancer has been really prominent. We've seen a lot of third round Merc picks, which you'd see as traditionally Merc is more of a 1 and 2 first and second round pick. So
yeah, Merc is definitely one of the most safest rescuers out there, which, you know, Terror Shocks are no such things for Merc because he can still rescue at the end of the day. Now then, for our first half, it seems like SugarBaby Survivors is coming out first, if I am not wrong. Or is it Ghost? Wait, I need to double check. It is... No, it's Ghost Survivors coming first. So from Ghost Survivor, we have Jinyu, Kaka, Sky, and Nice. And for SugarBaby's Hunter side, we have Kudu coming out. And it seems like on the ban pick, as we can see, the SugarBaby's Hunters has decided to go for Chinatown. And Ghost Survivors has decided to opt out to ban Hospital for this one.
I think that might have been a really smart choice. We do see a lot of hospital choice. I mean, a hospital is played when you're confident with your survivor on that map, with your hunter on that map, because it is such a survivor-sided map. So a lot. I mean, even a really good high-tier hunter, such as hunters in the Asia server, struggle on a map like that. It's really based and really pushing for a survivor win, a drawn minimum. So a lot of the times you're going to see those bans like this one and Moonlit, I think, are really popular map bans. I'm not too surprised by that map ban.
Yeah, to be fair as well. And from SugarBaby's side, Chinatown has become a great map now, hasn't it? In all honesty, after Priestess's nerf.
And I mean, and it's a really good map for Dream Witch, especially. I mean, I think Dream Witch really thrives on that, with the middle of the map being relatively dead. It's really hard to transition through the middle of the map, especially late game when you use some of those pallets up.
Yeah, and of course now Dream Witch can actually go through Priestess's portal now, so there's going to be no such thing as Dream Witch using her own followers to go through portals. So, like, I think Priestess is more of a double-edged sword for this map now, for Chinatown, and for Moonlit to a certain extent, because, like, once the follower is outside Dream Witch's radius, it'll just immediately come follow you back. And of course, you don't really want to have 2 leeches behind your back, one who can break the pallet, and the other one which is Dream Witch's main followers to get a hit on you in exchange for her to have more map pressure on the survivors.
I agree. I think Chinatown and Moonlit are going to be played a lot more, especially I'm honestly thinking a lot more around the 1 with Priestess's nerf.
Yeah. Now then, on to the ban picks we go. It seems like from SugarBabies side, the Hunter's gonna ban Seer first.
Pretty normal ban there. Not really too surprised by that. Seer's ridiculous and broken and has been since the dawn of time.
Yeah. And in exchange, it seems like Ghost has came out with Priestess and Forward.
I mean, we just talked about it. This map is really strong for Priestess. She may be a double-edged sword, but there's no denying the fact that she's not ridiculous on this map.
Yeah.
We do see the ban is going to be Barmaid. So the second ban for the Hunter is Barmaid. So I think that pretty much guarantees who it's going to be.
Yeah.
Dreamwitch is like the main Barmaid ban. So I would be really surprised if we see anybody outside of Dreamwitch here.
Yeah, but the problem with Ghost Survivor's pick is if they decide to get Forward out first, then that either means that Forward needs to give up all his resources early game to help the Survivor kite for a long time, or he'll be rendered useless mid to late game because the more followers there is on the map, the more useless Forward becomes.
I agree completely. It's a lot of the Dream Witches aren't going to be careless enough to have one leech on chair or one leech on a down. So it's going to be very, very difficult for the Forward to line up late game harassment like you were just talking about.
Yeah. Now then, for the third ban from our Hunter side, it seems like Toy Merchant is going to be banned for this one, alongside with a Psycho and a Acrobat pick from Ghost's side. Acro and Psycho are not bad to counter Dreamwitch, to be fair.
I agree completely. I mean, Psychologist is essentially just the bootleg Barmaid when it comes to Dreamwitch counterplay. So I'm kind of shocked with the Toy Merchant ban. I mean, I would say she's really underrated on a map like this. I think she's amazing on this map, but I don't know if giving the Psychologist is going to benefit the Dreamwitch in the long run.
To be fair, Acrobat is the best pick. Psycho is kind of a 50-50 in general, isn't it? Because like you gotta think about it as well. Psycho has nothing at all to use on her hands, no items. She needs to rely on raw kite in general. And then like it's kind of I don't know, it's really risky to run Psycho in my opinion, unless they have been practicing playing against Dream Witches in general. But Acrobat is definitely a good pick. Acrobat's definitely a good pick because the ball animation, when he uses a ball, one ball equals to one patroller buy, and then Acro usually brings flywheels. So like Acro is definitely the hardest chasing this team.
I agree completely. The only issue with letting the psych through is that if that Psychologist forces that patroller, you're now having to patroller the Psychologist 2 to 3 times if the Psychologist does their job and doesn't give out free hits and doesn't get sandwiched. So it's chasing a Psychologist, as you said, is 50-50, but it's a risk not a lot of Dream Witches know how to handle. If you're not really good and you're not really familiar with the map, you're not really good at sandwiching, it's going to be a really dangerous chase. If she's able to force 2 or 3 patrollers out, you've essentially wasted all of your patrollers that are of use and with bites on one chase. So it's kind of a 50-50. And on the counter side of it, if Forward is able or Acrobat is able to buy that Psychologist distant, buy whoever the first chase, whether that be Priestess or Forward, enough distance, and Psychologist can pop the whistle, that's game changing for Dream Witch and the Survivor side. We've seen it happen in a lot of the IVLs, I think just recently, in Arms Factory. I mean, it's game changing. Hitting a Psychologist whistle mid kite is ridiculous. It is something that is super instrumental for the Hunter side.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? Well, now you said that as well. That's probably where the Forward's gonna come in. Now that I think about it, like whoever's gonna be chased first, after getting the first hit, Forward's gonna pull the longest ball ever, stun the Dream Witch, whichever follower it is that's closest to Priestess. Well, whoever's being chased can they can create a huge distance, and then Psycho's whistle come in, as you said as well. The whistle is 8 seconds, but if Forward does half a ball, it's more than enough. It's more than enough to prolong a lot of kites.
That's one-dimensional. I mean, the whistle 8 seconds isn't realistically a lot. That's not a huge wait when you have somebody like Priestess that, yes, you can take your main body, but you're still gonna have to wait for that leech to catch up. And if that Forward stuns that leech while it's catching up, I mean, that's detrimental.
And of course, forward's cooldown is only 5 seconds, so like it's not really going to be that long for forward to get his ball back again and stun once again, just to try to get the heal up on time. Forward's going to be a huge menace for this game, but of course, at the end of the day, it still depends on their teamwork at the end of the day for this one.
I mean, I see the team comp looks like a super heavy support
Yeah.
team comp. So I mean, it all comes down to the communication between those, and I'm kind of excited to see how well they play this out.
This is going to be a very interesting match, of course. And of course, this is Ghost versus SugarBabies for Game 1, Round 1, first half. We have Kudulanks going Dream Witch, and then we have our 4 other survivors, which is Priestess, Forward, Psychologist, and Acrobat. We will be moving on to the map picks very soon because well, we had a few minor errors, so there's going to be a little bit of a delay. But of course, back to the game we go as well, though. If survivors want to gain a vantage point here, as Luci has said, this is going to be a heavily support team comp in order to counter Dream Witch. It's not a bad team in general, but if you make a single mistake, Kutu is going to take whatever he has in his hands to take the whole advantage, turn the table to make the game on his side instead of the survivor side. Right now, it's really up to the survivors and up to how they play at the end of the day.
Exactly. An experienced Dream Witch player like Kutulinix is not going to let them make mistakes freely. Kutulinix is a really seasoned hunter. He's played in tournaments before. I mean, they're going to make them pay for mistakes that they make. And in a super team reliant comp like this, it's either make or break for the survivor team round 1.
Yeah, there's going to be huge pressure from both sides though for this one. But once again, it's going to be Chinatown. I think I'm gonna assume that wherever dungeon spawns, that's gonna be quite important as well, and how the survivor decides to choose their spawn picks for this one, because you can't really have a priestess in middle. You can't really have a priestess in middle.
I agree, and essentially, I mean, I think putting anybody in middle other than psychologist would be a huge risk. If you put psychologist in mid, you're baiting them to waste the patrollers on somebody that can essentially eat 3 hits. But if you put forward mid, I mean, Acrobat could be a mid choice as well. But I mean, even forward isn't normally the person you'd put in the middle of the map. They're really difficult chase. But for Dream Witch, he's difficult, but not that bad. I mean, your football is going to get interrupted by the patrollers, so it's a risk putting him in mid as well.
Yeah, of course. As well as that though, as you said, Psychologist would be the best, and then Forward, once again, in a lot of IVLs as we've seen, Forward has been first chase for a lot of Dream Witch mains, mainly because once he pulls his balls, Forward's only just going to be out of Dream Witch's radius, and you know, when Dream Witch has patroller, 2 legs are not going to outrun 4 legs at the end of the day, so Forward is at a huge disadvantage when going against Dream Witch.
I agree completely. I feel like ever since the introduction of Flywheel, we've seen like a lot more hunters switch to chasing a forward. I mean, that's why I think a lot of forwards now run Flywheel, is because I mean, you chase Flywheel, and a lot of hunters chase Flywheel just to chase forward, to guarantee a first chase without Flywheel. So forward has become a lot more popular of a first chase than he has been in the past.
Yeah, especially, well, he's not easy to chase, but he's... Yeah, but like he's the easiest to chase in current meta. He's not easy to chase, but he's the easiest to chase in current meta for Dream Witches, because you know, Acrobat for balls, and also there is Psychologist with 3 healths. You can force the Dream Witch to use her own leech to hit you and then dispel the leech. And then of course for this team comp, the third survivor is going to be the Priestess. Priestess doesn't necessarily have to put portals early down, because she can wait until her own teammates reports back to her that they're being chased, and then you know, we'll see the portals coming out. But for now though, the safest play for Priestess is to spawn by the sides and wait to see who gets chased first, because there's no point in putting down portals when Dream Witch is going to like just destroy them at the end of the day and lead Dream Witch to you after using the portal, because Dream Witch can use her main body to go through the portal.
Agreed. I don't know if you said this, but the builds that we are seeing are Forward with Flywheel and Borrowed Time, Priestess with Flywheel and Borrowed Time, Acrobat with Tide and Borrowed Time, and Psych with Flywheel and Borrowed Time. That is, I mean, a super popular persona setup with I mean a lot of hunters. I mean when you're expecting a wheel, you run 3 fly mills, and during which you run 3 fly mills. So it's really there's no big surprise there.
Yeah, but I feel like it's still a bit risky though, in my opinion, because maybe you could have had Priestess run tied for this one, because if Acrobat actually becomes first chase, then you end up having 3 survivors not having tied at all. And if it's, well, whether it's an early down or a late down, because this is a Dream Witch, there is still opportunities for map control in general. So getting Acrobat down first, if Kutu can gamble this correctly alongside with the other 3 survivors who doesn't have tied, no one can come rescue, but you also can't sell against the Dream Witch. So you're left into a rabbit hole.
I agree completely. If he can manage to get this Acrobat down relatively fast, I mean, Acrobat is also in the corner, so you're putting your Tide in a corner, and that just, if he's able to zone him and keep him in this back corner, I mean, downing him here is going to make cutoffs like considerably easier versus a middle of the map situation.
Yeah, of course. But as we have seen as well, we're gonna go into the game right now. Let's see, Dream Witch spawning in between hotel and the corner. Acrobat is very close though. There is a chance that Acrobat could be first chase here.
It does look like that's the case. He is going to be the first chase here.
Kutu. Now, Acrobat standing in hotel against a Dream Witch isn't that much of a great idea, because you can just have 1 follower at the bottom and then 1 at the top. Oh, how is Acro gonna jump this one though? Oh, jumps over immediately and gets the first hit early. Oh.
No patroller baited out too. Amazingly played. Wonderfully played by Kutu Linux. Amazing. This is what we were talking about. I mean, amazing sandwich. This is what
he's
makes
taking
gameplay good.
And also, this is the there's a portals right now, but this is the only tie turner survivor that you have currently.
This is what makes Dream Witch considerably better. There's no way to lose a Dream Witch with Priestess portals.
Yeah, and now Patroller is ready as well. What does Dream Witch has? Dream Witch has her own followers at bottom, and she also has Acrobat's followers on top. But here, as we can see, jumps down immediately. Is Acrobat there? Acrobat, Kutu, mind game, very nicely done. Oh, that fish!
Barely connected with the Patroller. That was coming down to the wire. Amazingly played by the Acrobat. He almost got the turnaround.
Oh, didn't go to the pallet there, sadly, because of that second bite right there. This is relatively fast down for Kutu right here. The game is on his side right now.
The game is really on. You down, they're tied, and again, like I just talked about, it is in the corner, so he's going to be able to cut off relatively fast, and he already finds the forward. You have 3 leeches essentially on that chair now, so it's going to be very difficult.
Now then, the Patroller coming out once again. That didn't stun.
Amazing block.
Oh, there is a chance there that he could have stunned the Patroller in order for Dream Witch to cancel the Patroller, but this is a huge pressure.
Amazing save by forward.
Yeah, no Terror Shock, but this Acro can't really go anywhere else now. Kutu has to land this hit.
They cannot, but the survivors really are doing damage control right now, getting that save barely before half. Now Acrobat can die, and they have the opportunity to sell or give Tenas as best as they possibly can now.
Yeah, as you said as well, but in exchange for their sell, Psycho can't use her whistle, because if she does, she will be the opening for a second chase, and we don't want to see that from Ghost side. Right now, the whole game is on SugarBabies side. SugarBabies Hunter Kutu right now, and it seems like Priestess is going to come in for the second rescue, going out with a Patroller right now to see where the Priestess is.
An amazing game here. I mean, their Cypher progress isn't struggling by any means. They don't have a last Cypher, but if you look, I mean, both of the Cyphers that Forward and Psychologist are working on are really close to popping.
And as we've seen as well, this is something that could be learned for those of you who want to learn Dream Witch. What Kutu has done there is Kutu decided to throw the Patroller out, but decides not to bite onto the Priestess right before the Patroller's cooldown has run out. Why, you may ask, Kutu has done this? It's to buy time, right? When there's a Patroller biting a survivor, it's going to be very risky for them to rescue, because their rescue could be stopped and this chair could go over half, or you couldn't rescue on time, which is why Kutu utilized the Patroller's cooldown duration to its max. So now we can see here Priestess couldn't do the rescue at all.
I mean, amazing. If you notice, I mean, really smart with the survivors. Psychologist, like you said, waited to use that whistle until they knew what his next chase was going to be. Priestess, he convinced a priestess, and then they immediately popped that whistle. I think they're amazing patience by the survivors. Great games.
But also the survivors are not doing too bad as well for themselves. There's only 2 ciphers remaining, so they're keeping the rush up. They're keeping the pressure and the rush up. And Priestess has given her own leech. It's not that bad, but Patroller is ready once again.
It is ready, but that is a really good Priestess buying herself a lot of distance, taking that hit from the leech. You're going to see Kutalix immediately re-leech them, so it's going to be really difficult for a rebound from this Priestess. But again, like you said, their Cypher progress is amazing. Psychologist just popped that Cypher in the middle, so they are down to 1 Cypher.
Yeah, but as we can see here as well, how Ghost Survivor has done. They have, like, Acrobat down fairly fast, we can all agree on that, but Ghost Survivor still managed to maintain the pressure for not getting Terror Shock, and, you know, being able to sell Acrobat is not too bad as well, due to the fact that they could, you know, handle the pressure there. The Cypher is now currently on 78%, and Priestess is only first chair. It's still a 3-man endgame, even though Acro down fairly fast early game.
And again, I think that's in part to the amazing last-second save by Ford and Priestesses. I mean, she didn't really need to save, but she cut the football off. That is huge.
Wait.
It's going to be a stuff here.
Oh, Flywheel gets the hit. And it's still rescued though.
That's not the best pop. That they're giving up a lot of distance by that. But of course, I mean, committing the forward football is going to give him a lot of that distance.
Kudu still has blink though. It doesn't seem like Kudu wants to blink just yet. He wants to wait a little bit more, maybe changing into teleport right now. Forward jumping down immediately right here. But Kudu, are you really gonna let him cut you for that long?
It is going to be a teleport switch. He might be able to get this before the gate is open.
Yeah.
If you notice, Priestess is not even at the gate.
Oh, the gate is open. Oh, wait, the gate is open. How could Kudu win this? How could Kudu win this? The only way Kudu can win this right now is if he can find Priestess. But Priestess also has a portal, so it's not going to be that easy. It seems like Priestess is rushing towards the gate right now.
This is a race for the exit gate here. It looks like it might be. I think Catalinix is accepting the draw here. I mean, there's not much he can do to really cut this Priestess off. He's not really sure where she is.
Yeah, and Priestess is going to run headstrong now towards the gate using... Oh, she didn't even use her last portal, but the teleport! Priestess! Oh, no, Priestess is there. Never mind.
Amazing game played by both sides. I mean, the amazing first sandwich by Kuzalinix, and honestly, the amazing first chase by Kuzalinix, downing that Acrobat so fast, pressuring the forward and blocking that football. I mean, forward, amazing save. Priestess buying time and keeping Kuzalinix. I mean, that's what I think the big game changer is Ford's last second save. And honestly, Priestess's ability to just keep Kutulenix's focus on the chair and on her away from the Cypher progress. He wasn't able to really find an opportunity to pressure the map, which is kind of what makes a Dream Witch game open up for more than a draw. I mean, if you can't pressure maps, it's going to be difficult, even with a really fast down to get any more than a draw.
But we also have to praise that Kudu utilized all his abilities to the max, allowing, you know, the very precise decisions made with the patrollers, the very precise decisions made with his own leech. It's a little bit unfortunate he only got a tie for this one, but of course, Ghost Survivor did absolutely brilliant for this one, as you said as well. Forward, being able to handle the pressure, not getting terror shocked, even with the patroller on him, trying to stop him, prevent him from rescue before a half. That forward is a game changer, but also, I believe that Kudu definitely had more opening to, like, gain more with Dash chair cam, because I'm sure that the leech time was actually ready. He could have potentially leech onto the forward and then go after the Acrobat, but as we've seen as well, forward actually did a brilliant second kite with only half health.
Yeah, I agree completely. He really forced out a lot of the time. I mean, in a situation like that, you have to accept the fact that you're getting a draw and switch to blink. Or I mean, forward's gonna buy enough time for them to get the exit gate open, and he did his job perfectly fine in that game.
And Priestess also contributed a lot in that one, because Priestess went near towards the chair to give Kudu that pressure to not being able to, you know, chase after the forward. And Priestess may have failed rescue, but she has done her job. The best choice right there was to sell, get the ciphers done as much as possible, with the fact that when Priestess was down, there's only one cipher remaining. And as we've seen as well, forward and Psychologist trying to pop the last cipher as fast as possible. But Priestess's kite was more than enough for them to gain the tie right there.
I agree completely. I mean, that's just the power of rebounds, and like we talked about before, the game began really good teamwork. I mean, they lined up the first save amazingly, and for Priestess, like you said, did her job at keeping Kuzalinix focused on the chair. I mean, that's just what good teamwork does. And Kuzalinix played an amazing game, so it just shows the amount of game sense with these two teams, and I think this is going to be one that is going to be very exciting to watch.
Yeah, of course. But now then, we will have Ghost Hunter coming up first against SugarBaby Survivor. Our first ban will be Priestess for this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too shocked by that one. I mean, I don't think when you ban Priestess, it's a really solid ban. The only hunter that realistically doesn't need to ban Priestess are hunters like Dreamwitch and Wheel. But if you're playing any other hunter on a map like this, Priestess is going to be a really obvious first ban.
And from the Survivors pick, we have Forward and Toy Merchant. I think this is actually a great pick.
I agree completely. I mean, we see it a lot in a lot of the other high tier tournaments. I mean, even catapults in mid, I'll offer a really easy mid transition. So I'm excited to see what they do with this Toy Merchant.
And then with our third pick, we will have Patient. Alongside with the Hunter second ban, we will have Female Dancer. Toy Merchant and Forward here is actually a really good pick, especially against Ghost Hunter, who mains Hermit. You've seen their Hermit last week. It is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal, which is why Forward and Toy Merchant are going to come out for this one from SugarBaby's side. Reason one being Forward can harass mid-kite for whoever's being chased. Reason number two, Toy Merchant is an absolute god. One catapult near hotel, you're immediately on two-story.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a lot of distance that you gain from going. You don't have to travel all that long distance to loop the railing of the stairs to make it up to balcony with one simple catapult, like you said. I mean, they're immediately on that, almost on the balcony already. It makes looping and it makes transitions, like I said before, it makes all of that 10 times easier. The kites are going to be, I mean, considerably longer if you can play around a catapult well.
Yeah, but now it's really up to Ghost Hunter right now who they decide to pick for this one, because this team counters Hermit really hard. You have Entomologist here with a support, you have Toy Merchant here with a support, you have Forward here with a support, and all four survivors here can cut you for a significant long time, and they create a lot of distance, which is why it's really hard for Hermit to land their orbs properly.
I think you're really looking past two of the characters that they've chosen for their support are two characters that are going to offer support without giving presence. So you have survivors like Forward. Forward is somebody that could give presence. I mean, you may not get a long enough stun for the rebound, but like bees are going to offer really solid support without giving presence. I mean, same with catapults. So keeping that presence out of the Hermit is going to be super detrimental to a Hermit's gameplay. So I would be shocked if he played Hermit into a super Hermit like counter combat. I mean, it may be a big risk, but it may be one that he's willing to take.
Yeah, but it seems like Ghost Hunter has opted out for Geisha for this one. Geisha, the problem with Geisha for this one is the Forward, so it's really up to Geisha now how he counters the Forward for this one. But overall, everyone here's a good chase for a Geisha.
I agree completely. I think this is amazing. And if you look, I mean, Forward Untied and Toy Unbroken, Toy Untied and Patient on Flywheel. I mean, she counters Patient almost completely, and she was almost pushed completely out of it. It's really difficult to play her with Flywheel. She's a super one-hit head-on chase hunter. I mean, she doesn't have an external trait to try to bait out Flywheel. So if you have a team with 3 Flywheels, just like a Dreamwitch combo, is going to be really difficult for a chase for Geisha. But they've kind of misstepped here, and I think didn't really expect a Geisha, and they're only running 1 Flywheel here.
Yeah, with running only 1 flywheel, it just means that there's less of a chance for them to rebound kite properly. Because the thing with flywheel is for whatever item you have, if you can flywheel and then put down or use your items immediately, it's almost on always guaranteed second kite, which is why Prospector has been coming out a lot for high professional tourneys. Prospector, one flywheel, an immediate magnet to push the hunter away, gain that distance. It's the same for Ento. It's the same for Toy Merchant. Well, maybe not Toy Merchant. Toy Merchant is still a little bit slow on putting down the catapult on time when you have flywheel. But like Patient, it's also good as well.
No, I agree completely. I think how Patient uses this flywheel that he has, because Patient is the only one with the flywheel, how Patient uses his flywheel could be game changing, because Geisha might opt to try to chase that Patient first.
What I'm gonna say is Patient just stand at the pallet or the window, whatever he's at, and then when Geisha runs over, he needs to be able to catch Geisha's heartstrings to be able to win that mind game. When Geisha uses her attack, he immediately flywheels and vault over the window, which thus this leads to Geisha either has the vault or has the butterfly through the window, and meanwhile when that's happening, Patient will be able to hook away.
I agree completely, and it does look like, I think Geisha's giving themselves options here. You can chase Patient, but you can also chase Ento. I think I would be surprised if Geisha realistically did go for Ento. She isn't in the best kiting area, if I'm honest. So she is an opportunity, but Patient, I think, is her easiest chase here.
Yeah, of course. Now then, onto the game we go. We will have Ghost Hunters, Geisha, and alongside with Sugar Babies, Survivors, which is Ento, Patient, Forward, and Toy Merchant.
It does look like she's opting for Ento here. Oh, no. Okay.
Forward. Oh, wait. Mind game. Or it seems like we're going to start moonwalking right now. But Ento already closing the distance. Daikiri is at a very huge disadvantage point right here. Ooh, but Geisha. Ooh, gets the hit on the bees right there.
Amazing beat body block coming from Daycare. That could have been a really early hit there, but I am terrible at saying the name, but they turned really last second and got off their bees at an amazing time and avoided that hit.
Now, Daikiri is going to play a little bit of a mind game right here. They come, wait.
Winning the mind game there is huge. I mean, you can get forward support here to push through mid realistically, and this is going to lengthen her kite like astronomically. Giving up a hit there,
Forward with a long ball right here.
Excitement, amazing.
Excitement.
I didn't even notice that Excitement was chosen there. I'm so sorry.
Oh, but this is a little bit bad. Yeah, but this is still a little bit bad for Geisha though. Geisha. Oh wait, Ento being able to jump into 2-story right now, but Geisha can also follow up. But what's the problem right here? The problem right here is Geisha cannot jump up, and 4 can just come and harass as much as possible.
And this is going to be a relatively easy kite to guarantee minimum 60 seconds here from the Ento. I mean, this is a really difficult place to chase.
Yeah, especially with the fact that Geisha used Excitement a little bit too early right there, because Forward is already on his way back right now to assist the Ento for as long as possible.
Buying that time to pop the catapult again. And you were just talking about this in the beginning of the game. And this is game changing. I mean, this catapult, if she doesn't break this can be used a good 1 to 2 more times.
Yeah, Alex, to Geisha, this Geisha really has to break that catapult, or else this is going to be very painful. It's still not ready just yet, but it seems like the entomologist here can't rush towards the stairs right now. Oh
my god, getting stuck up the stairs. Again, lots of time being bought here. It might be ready if she can make it back to that catapult in time.
Yeah, but we also see that Geisha has changed her trait right now from Excitement to Teleport. But where's Forward? Is Forward nearby right now? Pablo? No, Pablo. It seems like the Forward is currently decoding. But with 82% Cypher though, he can just come rescue right after he finishes the Cypher and continues to harass.
Seeing amazing Cypher progress here from the Survivors, honestly. I mean, 3 Cyphers left. Forward is about to pop his, and they're already working on the last 2. Geisha has to try to overextend here. He needs more than a one-man here. He needs to draw, and this is not looking like a strong draw position here, giving up that Ento save. But he realistically has to play this risky. He has to.
Oh, misses it. Yeah, as you said as well. Now, Forward being able to get the no damage rescue right here is really beneficial for him, but in exchange for the fact that now he has no balls remaining, I'd say what's best for Forward right now is actually to find an item, just because he is an opening for second chase right now. But as well as that, there's 3 Cyphers remaining. 1 Cypher almost, well, 2 Cyphers that are primed, and another Cypher which is Patience, which is near the opposite side of Umbrella Gate. Now, the catapult is still there, as we've seen Entomologist jumping up once again to safety.
I think the support has been absolutely amazing play. I mean, Geisha has just done nothing but struggle essentially this entire game, and it's not due to them playing a bad game. It's just due to the amazing support and the great kite coming from the Yento.
And here, as we can see, even though the Geisha has done the patience right after the teleport, there's still a forward online. There's still a forward in this map. This forward can rescue before half, and then, you know, the toy merchant rescue after half. It doesn't really matter who comes to rescue first, but we will have a pause right now from Daikiri's side.
Assuming maybe some lag coming in. But
Yeah, there probably is some lag.
What are your thoughts on the game so far?
I feel that it's that catapult. It's either Geisha didn't see that catapult or refuses to break that catapult.
Agreed. I would be really, really shocked if it was didn't see. I think a lot of hunters just get really headstrong about breaking that. They think they can blind game it in time before it's up, and honestly, it's come back to bite a lot of hunters that do that. It's as you're seeing here, it's detrimental to a lot of the chases. I mean, there's been a lot of times where it looks like Geisha's closed that distance to finally secure that hit on down. But again, that catapult is just saving this Ento every time.
Yeah, and as we've seen as well, during the bans, this Geisha has banned female dancer as one of their bans, but little did they know that there's actually a toy merchant on the opponent's team. The female dancer ban was probably because she didn't want to step on any of the music boxes, but now with the catapult is, you can step the catapult much faster compared to music boxes. But because of Geisha's headstrong will to not step on the catapult, this resulted in Dakiri basically containing for 5 ciphers.
Essentially just having a free kite. I mean, anybody is going to have a really successful kite, especially in Hotel, one of the arguably stronger places to kite in the map, if not the strongest. And now you're giving a free pass multiple times up to that second story. Any hunter is going to struggle chasing like that.
Yeah, especially when this is a 4-man team as well. Even if Ento didn't manage to contain for like however long she contained for, there's still a forward on the team who can harass the hell out of this Geisha. Using the excitement early really allowed Dakiri to, you know, put down his guard. He's just gonna tell himself, I'm gonna make as much distance as possible. He doesn't have blink. I can do whatever the hell I want.
I mean, I agree. I think it's amazing, and here we are seeing a play here, and so we are getting back on the way of this match. It looks like Geisha is again pressuring these ciphers, but they don't want to leave this chair.
Yeah. Oh no, it seems like he wants to go after the forward though, but forward doesn't have any rugby balls. Now then, Alex she wants to map control as much as possible, but the two ciphers they seem close, but they're really far away.
Yeah, I think maybe securing this down. She should honestly leave him slug and go pressure ciphers more. I mean, maybe even secure that down on the Ento. But tearing here is going to give them time to prime that cipher that was just working.
Yeah. Now there's also an extra problem here as well. There's 3 survivors. Well, there's 3 survivors on the field that are not on chair. What does this mean for Geisha? Even though if you do manage to down the patient very early on after he gets rescued and the ciphers are popped, there's going to be someone at gate, camping the gate, opening the gate when the cipher has popped. So like, the teleport may be ready, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough.
I agree, and you've seen Geisha's really strong at Kubdan at securing fast redowns due to her being able to cut off, but Toy Merchant takes the cutoff away from her just because she's not on the ground to hit, essentially. Amazing hook coming directly after she used a butterfly. She can't close that distance immediately.
Yeah, but this isn't enough. This isn't fast enough for the Geisha right now. The other gate is currently open right, but immediate teleport coming from the Geisha will be forward because 4 has the elbow pad. Oh
my
no.
God! He misses the elbow pad. I honestly think it was a huge misstep, not elbow padding sooner. I mean, this could be coming back in the Geisha's favor here.
Oh, but the dash got cut off. Oh, does he want to go back though? Does he know that the Ento is right there though? Does he want to go back because the forward is going to be healed right now? Right now, all the pressure's on Toy Merchant.
Toy Merchant cannot risk an early down here. Amazing, great tight cutting coming from this Toy Merchant here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Both gates are going to be open. This is going to look like a 3-man. Amazing game. Absolutely amazing game coming from the Cypress. And honestly, amazing kite coming from the Ento.
Oh my lord. That tree. We did. To be fair, we both of us were like, yeah, this is going to be great for Geisha. But the only reason why Geisha lost this one was because of that one catapult that they didn't step on.
I mean, I agree. I mean, as Geisha, you don't really need to chase. I mean, every other area benefits you except for hospital, realistic, not hospital. Hotel is realistically the only place on the map that Geisha has no really strong counterplay. And then you add that catapult into the mix. It's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. Now then, let us congratulate SugarBabies survivors for winning this round. Now then, on to the stats we go. We have GHS LX Geisha with 4 pallets destroyed, 10 strikes, and 6 knockdowns. Angel, the patient, 131 decoding progress, 1 healed, 65 hunter containment. RV Pablo ZG, forward, 127% decode, 1 rescue, 41 containment. Toy Merchant, 216% decoded, 2 rescues, 57 containment. And Dakity, the entomologist, who is the MVP for this game, 100% decoding progress, 1 pallet strike, 1 heal, and 110-second containment.
And again, that hotel and that pad, that not breaking that catapult sooner really came back to bite the Geisha.
Yeah, it's really just that catapult at the end of the day. Like, that catapult bought an extra 50 seconds. That catapult really bought an extra 50 seconds there for the entomologist.
I mean, I agreed. I mean, again, like I said, every time the Geisha would close the amount of distance needed to secure that hit, and the catapult would re-give the gift wrap distance a free getaway card to the Ento every single time the Geisha managed to close that distance. So.
Yeah, we see the entomologist as well, the very precise sidestep that she has done right there on the on the top story. She basically was looking at the Geisha when Geisha was in soul departure while throwing the butterfly and trying to dash the 2-story. The Ento was actually looking at her, which resulted in the Geisha not being able to fly up properly.
And again, like we've talked about, the power of Toy Merchant on this map. I think she isn't played enough on this map, and the opportunities that she gives in certain parts of this map are unmatched.
Yeah, but also along with that side as well, like, we've seen the excitement coming out really early when Forward immediately pulled quite a long ball. It was half a ball to be exact. If you decide to use excitement at that time, you might as well just chase after the forward with only half a ball remaining, because the Geisha did see that the forward pulled quite a bit of a ball. So it's not bad to chase after the forward, even though, you know, Ent is half health and Ento may look more tempting, but Ento does counter Geisha to a certain extent in hotel, as we've seen as well. Bees between doors, bees between stairs, bees between any, you know, entrance in general, because the entrances inside hotel are very narrow, and it's just a perfect amount for entomologists to put her bees right there. And of course, you can bait the hunters to hit the bees and then, you know, get your bees back again immediately onto cooldown, just so you can save them for a rebound Kai. But right there, as we've seen as well, entomologists against that Geisha Kai alongside with the Toy Merchant catapult support. It's an absolutely amazing containment done by Dakity.
I think it was a huge misstep not switching targets to the forward there. I mean, she could have potentially zoned forward away from actually making it to hotel in general, so it would have been 10 times better of a chase strictly due to the area which Geisha entertains.
And there was a huge chance that Geisha could have cheered the forward near that 50% cipher as well, sadly.
Agreed. Amazing gameplay. Moving on to the next round, it does look like SugarBabies are banning Moonlight, and Ghost Survivors are going to pick, what is that, Ever Sleeping? So we are having an Ever Sleeping Town too.
Ever Sleeping Town. I smell pollen for this one, but there is still a chance for Ghost Hunter wanting to run Geisha again because of their first game. It's highly unlikely that Hermit will come out, because SugarBabies do know that Ghost Hunter mains Hermit from their last week's gameplays as well. Absolutely outstanding Hermit, but SugarBabies won't be giving Ghost Hunter this opportunity to be using Hermit now.
I would be really shocked if they did allow the Hermit there. I think with the outcome of the last match, I think they might be feeling more confident going against their Geisha rather than that. So I think you are correct that they will be trying to. I think they will attempt to force the Geisha out for him too.
Yeah. Now then, on to second round, first half we go. We have SugarBabies Hunter Kudu coming out first, and Ghost Survivors from first two bands, it seems like we will have Priestess and possibly a Seer, knowing that this is going to be, well, I mean, it's as Luci has said as well, it's just a general bands, really, nothing more, nothing less.
I mean, again, Ever Sleeping Moon, Chinatown, these are all maps that are really difficult to deal with a Priestess on, especially if you're not Paloon or Dreamwitch.
It seems like we've decided to ban Dreamwitch from Ghost Survivor's side, alongside with two survivors, which is Forward and Female Dancer.
Female Dancer has been played a lot. I think a lot of these hunters are kind of scared of the passive pressure that Female Dancer gives, both with the fast boxes and the decoding speed. And honestly, putting her slow boxes in really, like, in loopable areas. I mean, a slow box can give you an extra 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 loops in an area.
Yeah, and once again, Ento has been banned alongside with Barmaid coming out.
I'm really shocked that Barmaid, I mean, I understand maybe Barmaid not being locked, not being banned for the due to the Dreamwitch ban, but I think Barmaid is still a really valuable ban, especially in today's meta. I would say that she's arguably fits into a lot more team comps than Psychologist does, and consistency wise. I mean, Flywheel just made the fact that her bottles essentially are guaranteed. If you can gain a little bit of distance, Flywheel essentially guarantees that you get one bottle off. So it is super dangerous letting a Barmaid into your game.
Yeah, but this team as well, it's Forward, Female Dancer, Barmaid. This looks way too bomb-onable. I won't lie, bomb-on count is Forward, Female Dancer to a certain extent if you break the music boxes first, and of course, Barmaid. Who's Barmaid afraid of the most? Another bomb-bomb. But I don't think Kutu wants to aim for the tie for this one. He could because their team does have a huge point advantage right now, but also, you can still run wheeling this one. At the end of the day, you're not gonna be afraid of a Forward with wheel, especially with wheel, to be fair. Like, whether you land the spike or not, what matters most is you land the trap. So then, like, it either slows the Forward down to the point that he can't pull his ball, or it stuns the Forward. So it's really up to how Kudu wants to play this one.
I think honestly, both picks that you just said are really okay picks. I mean, he doesn't need to play for a win, so he could play Bonbon with the intent of getting a draw minimum, but he could always be looking for more. I mean, Ever Sleeping is a really easy map to get more than intended, especially with Bonbon. It's a really kind of narrow area with a lot of these alleys, so if you can shove them in and force them into alleyways, you could get some really easy fast Bonbon hits here. So I mean, he realistically could. He has the freedom. His team did well on both sides, so they do have a point advantage. They could realistically aim to just draw these last 2 rounds out and win it on a round one difference there.
Yeah, but there is still an extra possibility though. Do you think Kutu plays Spider?
I think Spider would be a really a safe kind of tie-ish hunter, but I mean, I don't know if you play Spider into a super, like, this team kind of plays around a one-hit hunter. So I think honestly playing something like Wheel, being a one hit down, or even, I mean, Chip Snap Hunter, I mean, as well as Bonbon being a chip hunter, I think honestly Sculptor again would be a better pick than Spider. I think Spider would be taking an unneeded risk here.
Yeah, Spider would be a little bit too safe, but also a little bit too risky because of, you know, Female Dancers, you said as well. The slow music boxes are going to be very tiring to deal with, and you can't really start a chase when you don't have the music boxes broken, because you're not going to be faster than a survivor when there's 3 music boxes in middle or in, you know, 2-story shrine.
I agree. I mean, and if he can manage to kind of bait them into thinking he is going Wheel or is going Spider, they might bring 3 dead hards, and that could play perfectly into a Bonbon setup here.
But alongside with the Mercenary ban though, we're not really too sure, because for us hunters in general, we wouldn't really ban Mercenary. Yes, he counters. Yes, he can rescue twice without being healed, but it's also the fact that Mercy is a really slow decoder. So for hunters in general, we like slow decoders out on the map compared to fast decoders with no rescuers at all. But if Kudu decides to ban Mercy for this one, there is still a very high possibility that he's going to run a high mobility hunter for this one, which is why, I was talking about Spider, just in case. But it seems like Rockstar's is coming out.
Oh, and this one, I think this is amazingly chosen by him. A lot of these survivors, Ford with the stunning, but none of these other survivors are going to make things super difficult for Wax Artist. And they're all bringing Flywheel too. So if he can, this is essentially his counterplay. But Wax Artist is someone that we've seen be played more in response to Flywheel, but he's not a hunter we've seen be able to win and draw consistently as well. So it's all going to be of how Kutulinix chooses to play this and who he honestly chooses to chase here. But I think this isn't a terrible choice from him, both with the map pressure side. If he can secure and really push them to save that last cipher for last, this could be a really solid pick for him.
There's also multiple ways to play Wax Artist. You can run Patroller Wax Artist or Blink Wax Artist. The only reason why there is such thing as Patroller Wax Artist is because a lot of CN players do use Insolence Trump card or Insolence Detention for Wax Artist, in which they put down a Patroller, spray until there is like 80 or 90 wax on the survivor, hit them, and then once you hit them, you have Insolence, your presence won't open, you have your big blob to shoot out, which is basically a guarantee 100% wax, and that's an immediate down, maybe within 60 seconds, but it's still a very risky play considering the fact that we are in Ever Sleeping Town and there's a lot of high obstacles to for survivors to avoid the wax, of course. But now then, onto the area selection we go.
So I think this is honestly, like I said, it's going to play super heavy into who exactly he chooses to chase, and honestly where he chooses to chase. If he chooses to chase somebody in corners, that could again be another hotel situation with the geisha, and it could be a really difficult place for him to chase.
Oh, and it does seem like Kutu decides to spawn outside the entrance of Graveyard. We see that the barmaid is running in front of him, and Patient is towards his left-hand side for being the middle, and you being near Fake Gate, more towards the S palette.
I think this is a really good spawn pick for him. Barmaid realistically is going to be somebody that struggles to pop these bottles without support against Wax Artist. I talked about it. It's the big reason why she's meta now is because that Flywheel, but Flywheel could be countered by this Wax Artist.
And as well, we need to know that female dancer's spawn selection is actually really good as well. She can immediately rotate either towards middle to put down the 2 slow music boxes, or she can save them to put. Oh wait, we see the slow music boxes already coming out right here, as we can see from Yu.
I honestly think it's a good choice. I don't know if I necessarily would have put it there. Honestly, I would have saved that music box exactly where she's going for this cabin over here at back gate. Realistically, that would have been a better place to put it. It's really difficult. It's going to be a really good looping area for her, and it's a tall wall to avoid.
And also, as well as we can see, 2 slow music boxes are already out. Kutu trying to land as much wax as possible right here. Female dancer having 56 wax right now is not too bad.
Her twirl, her type, that's huge for this. That's going to cost her a hit now. I don't know if you noticed that, but she twirled and actually ran into the cipher, and that made up for a lot of the distance that she had. She took a hit, I think, strictly because of that.
But also, we saw Forward coming in with a mini stun right there. I think he really shouldn't have stunned. Why?
I don't think he needed to.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to. It's either that he stunned before the hit occurs, or he needs to start stunning right now, as we can see female dancer being chased. Oh, Kyle coming in once again.
Amazing stun, amazing support. This is what makes Wax Artist's job and life difficult, is not being able to secure this down. Honestly, he doesn't have a terrible chase, but support is what makes his life extremely difficult.
But now running straight towards the barmaid. Oh, they didn't get their positions properly. Or else barmaid would have given female dancer the drink immediately right there and start body blocking for the female dancer.
So I think there was a huge misstep from them. They're doing it here now. But, I thought that was a mistake at first. It looked like the blink might come out here.
I think this is going to be
huge. That is actually game changing. This is going to be super difficult to come back from. Wax Artist again has an okay chase, but you need that blink. Especially in an area like Graveyard with really tall walls. And there it is, the bottle. I mean, that's huge. That's game changing.
Yeah, it's full health right now, but Kudu decides to not chase after the barmaid though. It's a little bit of a bummer right there because the blink was definitely a very good choice, but the only problem there was, oh wait, that hit it. Okay, that hit it. But I was saying the only problem with that was it's a slow music box. The survivors can react faster than the hunters when it comes to a blink hit right there.
I mean, and I agree with you. I think honestly, leaving Dancer for the barmaid would have been the best bet there. I mean, she also left Graveyard, which is not a beneficial area for people to be chasing in.
And now the Flywheel. Can we have one more?
Flywheel coming out really, really early, I think.
Yeah, but we see Ford is actually nearby as well, though. But immediately putting out the blob of wax. Is Ford gonna? Oh no, Ford's not coming in. Never mind.
But that's gonna come from the wax. He might honestly stun on.
Oh, there's
he ran out of football. Oh my goodness, he misjudged it. That is. I honestly would have rather see him just save and then do a mini stun to buy the Dancer time, so we didn't have a situation like this happening. Oh, he missed the hit.
Could you Molten Wax? Nice land. Get the hit on forward.
Double down situation, and he forced him. If you notice, he forced him away from that cipher at dungeon spawn where they were decoding. So right now, essentially, they have no decoding being done right now. This Linux might have just secured him the best chance that he possibly could have given a draw here.
Yeah, but it seems like Kudu wants to chair near that cipher as much as possible. Probably what he's gonna try to do is to lock the cipher at balcony right now. No, not the cipher. Lock the window at balcony and then walk up. Oh, but that didn't. Oh, but that didn't. I feel like a double chair situation here will probably be way better. But as we can see as well, the cipher is coming down pretty fast.
We're going to go in for a double save here, so it's going to be very difficult for him to get a stuff at all.
Yeah. Oh,
he needs to get this read down here. Amazing job. This is game changing. They had such a strong. They might honestly double block this out. They're securing themselves 4 people alive. Chris Linux played an amazing game. The survivors. Oh my god! Amazing job. If you notice, the cipher is primed.
Oh my god, what's even more surprising is that he had exactly 10 wax remaining when that happened.
Coming down to the wire, amazing patience coming from Chris Linux. I think a lot of hunters would have swung on that early just to push themselves into end game to an immediate blink, but amazing patience from Chris Linux.
Yeah, but barmaid putting down the pallet right here was not the best choice. That was not the best choice. Does Kudu have blink? No, Kudu has. What does he have? He has teleport.
He has blink.
Yeah, he has blink, but he also has trump card for the teleport because we saw him with the slow pallet breaking.
He knows, and he has the attention, doesn't he? This is going to be super risky coming from patient. I mean, he knows where he is now.
Ford can't come in as well because Ford is a one-man down, alongside with the fact that. Oh no! Oh wait!
Missed the blink. That could have been what the difference between. And he didn't see Ford either. He really needs to get this patient. He needs to secure this down. Patient makes it out.
This has to land. Kudu, that landed.
Oh my god! Kudu Linux fighting. Amazing dead hard coming immediately off. Amazing gameplay played from both sides here. This is going to be very difficult for the patient to make it out here. Very, very difficult.
Yeah. But he decides to fall. Just flop it down. Oh yeah, just flop it down. Yeah.
It is staying back. Barmaid is opening the other gate here.
No, there is going to be. I think Kudu can't pick up right here. Oh wait, no, Kudu can. Because what I was thinking is if Ford decides to come rescue for the second time, Kudu needs to save wax to the point that he is like max wax before chairing the patients, just so you know he can have hot wax to double down the 4. But it seems like they're gonna go for a more stable tie for this round.
Again, I don't think Kudu Linux honestly was looking in a very rough position, so I think he played an amazing game to really pull that back into a draw position. And right now, I mean, that's realistically all he needs to get. He doesn't really need to overextend for more and risk giving up a 3-man. All his team needs to do realistically is just to continue drawing these the rounds 2 and 3 out. This is the opportunity. I talk about it a lot. I mean, winning round one is super game setting. I mean, if whoever wins round one has the opportunity to play it relatively safe and draw it out. And I mean, Kutalank's played an amazing game there. He almost gave himself the opportunity to push for more than a draw, but I think securing a draw is definitely the best bet.
Yeah, especially as well as we're seeing Ghost Survivors. They've done an absolutely brilliant job early game with the support, assist, contain, decode. But Kutu being able to get a double down right there on the forward. Just think about that. That forward's gonna have nightmares tonight. Forward's gonna have nightmares tonight.
I agree. Amazing. I honestly, what saved him the game is the ironclad patience with that pop situation. I mean, that was a very, very bottleneck situation. I mean, he, like you said, he had 10 wax left and he barely was able to freeze both people off in order for him to pick up. And then again, I mean, with both of them frozen, I mean, realistically, they could have popped, I mean, and forced 3 people up. But I mean, Barmaid, I think again, game-changing. Barmaid died without forcing out the blink, which almost cost Patient his life, realistically.
Yeah, and it's just a bit unlucky there on Kutu. Could have gotten the 3-man, but Patient... Kutu didn't think that Patient would actually vault that window. He actually didn't, which is why he immediately 180-degree turned around to hit the Patient who was behind that pallet. But little did Kutu know, the Patient is the bravest man out there. Honestly, the bravest man out there. That window vault was what shocked the both of us.
Yeah, I agree completely. I didn't see him. I didn't expect him on. Honestly, he kind of did an amazing job there. And I think he honestly did it on purpose. He tucked behind that box to kind of break a lot of sight immediately, and then immediately committed to the window. And I think honestly, breaking line of sight made Kutalinix think that he was just committing to the pallet camp.
And like we saw Patient as well having 1 hook remaining, there was a huge chance for him to get out of the gate and for, you know, the survivors to get a 3-man escape. And we saw the flywheel, we saw the pallet mind games. It was absolutely brilliant coming out from the Patient. But, you know, sadly, you're against a wax artist who has max presence at the end of the day.
Very, very, very difficult to come back. And again, that's why a lot of games you really want to support and don't want to feed a ton of presence to the wax artist early game. And if you can support without feeding a bunch of presence, like we saw, I mean, it's going to make his game extremely, extremely difficult.
Yeah. Now then, onto the ban picks we go. This is SugarBabies versus Ghost. Round 2, second half, we have Ghost Hunter banning Female Dancer, Priestess, and then the SugarBaby Survivor is going to ban Wax Artist for this one.
Wax Artist ban is really surprising, to be honest. I mean, they didn't seem to necessarily struggle like that. So I assume they're confident in letting him repick his Geisha again, like we talked about. I mean, we didn't really expect them to ban Geisha, so they might honestly be trying to force that Geisha out again now that they have the strategy down and they know how to counterplay and play around the Geisha. But I honestly think, I mean, Ever Sleeping is a considerable different map, and like we talked about, the main reason why he struggled was that catapult in hotels.
Yeah.
So I think maybe letting the Geisha through is a little risky now that you're not on a map like that.
And the Hunter has banned Toy Merchant. The Hunter has respected the Toy Merchant coming from SugarBaby side. Last game was absolutely phenomenal, but this game though, it seems like SugarBabies wants to force Ghost Hunter to run Bonbon. That's what I'm seeing right now with the Seer and the 4 pick alongside Wit and Balmer.
No, I would agree completely. I mean, I think they're covering all bases relatively well, if I'm honest. I mean, you have the Patient for that is going to offer you really safe transitions, especially on a map like this. You have Foil for your support. You have Seer for your, I mean, essentially guaranteeing that you take 3 hits to down. And it just in case they do choose Bonbon again, Patient super good at transitioning. If he does get in a situation where he's forced to play Patient, it's going to be very, very, very difficult to chase down a Patient when they're constantly rotating. Forward is going to offer a really solid stun on chair. And then Bomber just kind of counterplays Bonbon's one and strongest turning point in games, which is camping.
Yeah, as you said as well. But they could run Bonbon. they really could run bomb on, but this team overall counters single hit hunters quite a bit. Maybe except for Dreamwitch. No, not Dreamwitch, sorry. Except for Geisha and Bloody Queen. Hermit may be good on this team, but because there's a Seer, it's not going to be that good on this team.
Realistically, though, Hermit could. A lot of teams, if you can bait out the owl, and we see Wheels do it, and it's essentially the same premise. You're gonna bait out the owl but not hit it, so you essentially force them to use it. And again, that requires a lot of patience. But and then you're going to trap you. In Hermit's case, it's going to be the other polarity to kind of to negate the transition and to keep them still and wait for that owl to wear off. I mean, realistically, the owl isn't as long as it used to be. So I mean, waiting and baiting and waiting the owl is a strategy used by. I mean, it's been used even before his owls got nerfed. But Hermit and Wheel both make waiting and baiting an owl 10 times easier with the ability to stop.
Of course, but it seems like Ghost Hunter has decided to run Antonio for this one.
We don't see a lot of violinists because he is so slow and his notes take so long to go where you put them.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Bloody Queen, but a little bit worse.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair. Yeah, especially with the fact that now, I think the full pressure would be on landing the notes properly, or else you're just going to have a Seer Owl coming out. You know, that 8 seconds, as you said, has been nerfed, but it's still a pain. It could buy them some time. Like 8 seconds is still 8 seconds. If it's enough for Forward to finish the cipher or get like a little bit more done, that's good. Because if it's an Antonio coming out, and Antonio can't do anything against a Forward. Yeah, he really can't.
But I guess gonna be very, very difficult, especially like I mean, Bon is kind of really close to the situation with Antonio. Antonio is gonna get and transition relatively easy just because he moves so slow and his notes take so long. They nerfed his note speed, so I mean it's going to be difficult playing and chasing somebody like Patient. I mean, Embalmer again is going to be difficult. If Embalmer drops his coffin in, let's say, Graveyard, and he manages to make it to fake it, that forces Antonio to do one of two things: to just completely chase targets, or he's going to have to bring Teleport and waste it.
Yeah, which is why it surprises both of us as well. It's an Antonio against an Embalmer. Like if it was a BQ, Geisha, you know, any high mobility hunters in general, understandable, have a great day. But it's Antonio, as you said as well. He's slow as hell. Strings are slow. His movement speed is, well, his movement speed is average, but like it's slow. It's still slow compared to everyone else.
And we do see Embalmer's going to be unbroken, Seer's going to be unbroken, Forward untied, and Patient unbroken. And again, Antonio is one of those survivors, one of those hunters. Sorry, Antonio survivor. Antonio is one of those hunters that realistically bringing broken windows isn't a bad idea as long as you vault windows earlier than you normally would. I mean, it's going to be very difficult, and you're gonna have to be able to time the window vaults in between the notes. But I mean, bringing that window vault is going to offer you really solid transitions, which is going to make Antonio hitting notes significantly more difficult.
Yeah, it's as you said as well. Also, like, flywheel wouldn't really matter too much against Antonio because his strings isn't. Let's be fair, it's not really that hard to dodge. Once he gets his first string out, you can almost predict where he's gonna land his second string. Yeah.
I do think they made the right choice.
But it's really all up to Ghost Hunter right now. If they can aim for a tie or even more, they can't just have a one-man elimination, because if they do, then it'll be the end of Ghost and it'll be a win for SugarBabies. So it's really up to the Hunter now if they can handle the pressure here from the SugarBaby Survivor. They've done their team comp is relatively good. A Forward, a Seer, an Embalmer, and a Patient. Everyone can kite, especially against an Antonio. And there's one Embalmer who may not be able to kite, but can self-rescue in exchange for you know, his own teammates not to stop decoding, keep the rush up, and go for a tie for this one. So from SugarBaby's side, their survivors decide to run more of a tie team comp compared to, you know, wanting to earn for a win. But if LX allows SugarBaby Survivor to gain an advantage in this game, then it's going to be over for Ghost.
And I agree. And I think this is going to come down to nothing except for early game. The early game is going to be what's most important. He needs to get that full presence relatively fast. Once the full presence is up, that's when he really has any sort of danger and any sort of pressure with those notes. I mean, you could be really good and really accurate with your notes, but there's no making up for the speed at which they're placed. And that's what makes Antonio so difficult to play, is he's so slow walking and his notes take ages to play. So you really need to have a solid early game and hit at least one note early game. If you can hit a note into your basic hit, that is an amazing early game for Antonio, and you're opening yourself up for a really solid draw. But if the survivors are able to transition and utilize the two-story areas, realistically, he could have a really, really difficult game on his hands, even to get a draw. It's going to be very difficult. Antonio is a difficult hunter to play in general, but I think he's even more difficult to play in.
Against a four-man team, yeah. Now then, onto the mob area selection we go. It seems like we have Angel D, Patient, running right at outside the entrance of Graveyard, Bakary and Bomber going balcony, Orvi Pablo ZG forward in middle, and Orvi Sapphire near two-story gate.
He might be giving himself the opportunity to rotate into Patient to push him away from that cipher and maybe go down to a bomber. I would be shocked if he stuck in and chased Patient, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
that might be a huge misstep from him.
It's really up to I think it's really up to how Embalmer plays for this one, but it seems like Embalmer spawns directly at the top story of balcony and sees where forward is, where it's probably giving the location of Antonio right now. Meanwhile, Seer trying to rotate as far away as possible from this Antonio. Seems like Seer will become first chase for this one, and Hunter Trace is going to be teleport.
And again, teleport is good for map pressure, but I mean, when you have a hunter such as Antonio that doesn't have essentially the best chase, teleport is kind of a risk bringing. Yeah, I guess it really just comes down to he dropped too early too. Oh, he didn't. Oh, I'm so sorry. I honestly didn't even see here. I thought he was aiming for a bomb.
This cannot land. Okay. Oh,
there it is. Yeah, I'll guarantee.
Yeah, seems like Antonio decides to hit immediately because 8 seconds is more than enough for the Seer to rotate towards that pallet right here, the double pallet one window. So gaining presence is not such a bad choice for the Antonio. Now then, it's all up to Seer now to dodge the second string.
And again, this is why Antonio is so difficult to play. The notes are really, really easy to dodge. And I mean, realistically, it's not, like you mentioned, it's not out of the realm of good ideas to force that owl out early and just gain presence. I mean, the owl, if you look at it, it was popped really fairly early, but if you look, cypher progress is amazing, and both ciphers and mid are being done, and that's really smart. It's gonna be very difficult pressuring the map and pressuring it successfully with those two, with both middle ciphers being popped.
Yeah, and as we've seen as well, during the chase, Seer ran straight towards the Embalmer to look for him. And right now here, as you can see, going straight to the Embalmer. Embalmer Cypher was nearly popped though, getting the hit on Embalmer right there. Where is Seer right now? Seer is directly on that coffin.
And like I said, I mean, Embalmer is doing his job. No one had to get off ciphers to save it. I mean, you're looking at Embalmer is immediately getting back on that cipher. And on top of that, another owl, amazing owl, but he's doing his job. Amazing forward support. The Embalmer did his job, forced out the teleport early game like I talked about in the game, and now he has no chase essentially. Forward buying a ton of time for Seer and a ton of time for them to finish these ciphers.
Yeah, it seems like forward did pull a little bit more ball as well as we've seen. The ball cooldown has been turned on. Right, Seer will be going down right here, sadly.
You see this, they are going to be popping two-story though, so it's going to be very, very difficult. And they're essentially down to one cipher here.
Right now, all what Forward really has to do, I don't think Forward really needs to save his ball anymore. Right now, as we can see as well, as you said, two-story has been popped for. Forward just needs to pull his ball in and do a perfect rescue to aim for this tie. He doesn't need to play this any more riskier. We can see as well, he needs to be very careful here. He gets up on time, but the pressure right now is on. Oh,
and again, this is why he's so difficult to play. All of his animations are so slow and really easy to play around. As long as Forward can get the save off and honestly die for Seer, this could be game-changing for the survivors. Amazing terror shot! This is pushing him into a draw. It looks like this is. I would be very shocked if he didn't draw. That terror shock was game saving.
Yeah, he was very, very, very patient with that chair right there. I would have hit it immediately right there. And immediately teleporting straight towards Embalmer right now. Embalmer is a one hit down, but the pop, not the pallet. The pallet's down right here as well, as you can see. Oh, I didn't
Played around it, but now, I mean, the map pressure, he knows what Cypher they're looking for. If he can down Embalmer relatively close and chair near the Cypher, this could be difficult for the survivors to come back from. They need the self-heal before it needs to find them.
Now, to be fair, there's really no pressure on the survivor side as well. The Embalmer is kiting really well right here, and all what Ford really has to do is go and decode that S-Pallet Cypher. Meanwhile, the Embalmer rotate as far away from that Cypher as possible, but it seems like the first one was a fail. That's okay, we can still hit the Embalmer back.
He needs to walk this Embalmer as close as he can to that Cypher. He knows what Cypher they're working on. You notice Angel D is starting the new one, but he needs to focus on that forward Cypher. If he can chair this Embalmer and then double down that forward, this could be game changing. This could be the pressure that this Antonio really needs to push for more than a draw here.
Yeah, and if Patient decides to come for the rescue, if the hit lands on Patient, there's a huge chance for Patient to fail this rescue, or there's a huge chance for a double down. But as we can see here, an immediate rescue here, no hesitation.
No. And again, he's being chaired right back on the Cypher. It's going to be very difficult for them to finish this and prime it in time. He might not even chair, he might just drop.
Yeah,
He's just going to be playing the long game and slugging here.
Forward running out from that area, it's not such a bad choice, but right now, as we can see, Embalmer does have one coffin for himself though. He needs to be a little bit more careful right here. If he uses self-heal, he needs to put this coffin down immediately to rescue the forward.
Honestly, I think it's a really good choice not chairing Embalmer, because if honestly Embalmer is just going to buy that little bit of time for either of them to decode on those Cypher, and if he drops him here, he has the opportunity to actually double down the forward like he did, and now they have no Cypher being done. 3 Cyphers all being pressured off. I think Antonio's playing a wonderful endgame here. And now he's forcing the selfie out of the Embalmer.
Successfully dodges the no,
but an instant redown on the forward. I mean, he doesn't need to chair here. Also, he has the time to go through Embalmer.
The biggest pressure right now is on the Embalmer.
Amazing, no. This is looking like more than a draw for him.
Embalmer has no self-heal, as you said as well. This
should have
like
coffined. He should have coffined. His only chance there was coffining. I mean, he's not. He's gonna have a bubble, so he's gonna guarantee that he'd get up and be able to make distance. But here, I mean, Antonio has no reason to pick him up realistically, and he knows where Patient is.
Patient right now only has one hook. Oh, that misses though. But will this string land? It seems like Patient should be able to get out safely alongside with one hook remaining. He needs to use his hook to locate where Embalmer is and heat him up as fast as possible.
Embalmer is already starting to move into the map. Amazing no being hit. This is looking like a strong 4-man position here, and that's exactly what it is. That endgame was crazy. A wonderful endgame being played by that Antonio. I mean, pressure in all the right places. I mean, I don't think he could have played a better endgame.
That was very nicely done by LX right there, as we've seen that Antonio coming out. That Violinist endgame, the early game was absolutely horrific, but Terror Shock and the end game right there with forward not being able to rescue, that really changed the tide for the Antonio to gain the second round win right here.
I agree completely. I mean, and we talked about it, and Antonio struggled so much in the early game, but I think he really capitalized on a lot of the survivors' mistakes, starting with the Terror Shock, and it just started to snowball from there.
Then on to the stats we go. We have GH LX Violinist with 1 Cypher remaining, 6 pallets destroyed, 13 strikes, 1 Terror Shock, and 8 knockdown. And Bomber with 179% decode, 1 rescue, 89-second containment. Forward, 95% decoding progress, no rescue, no heal, 80-second containment. Or V Sapphire to see it with no decoding progress, as he was the first chase, alongside with 90-second containment. And the Patient with 239% decode, 3 rescues, and 77 containment.
Again, and if you look, I mean, that one Terror Shock is really what started the turning point for the Violinist in this match.
The Violinist definitely did a really good job as well. There, the it's just really unfortunate. Maybe if the patient and the forward met up with the last cipher, they could have rushed the last cipher on time, where patient could go rescue, and then the forward is okay to go down, but in exchange for the forward to go down, the patient is a no damage rescue. But of course, during that game, we don't really know how that will turn out. All we know is that the violinist has done a really good job with his end game camp, cipher control, and with all his decision makings at the end. And also, SugarBaby survivors did a very good job early game, but their mid to late game, alongside with a Terry Shock failed rescue, was not worth it, to be fair.
I honestly think that the middle cipher was already 99. There is no way that he's able to pressure that in a way that brings any sort of pressure to them off of that middle cipher still being there. So I honestly think forward taking the time to go pop that cipher before going to save was kind of a misstep, because that put him in a situation where he essentially had to save on a chair that was 99. I mean, and it's going to be difficult to avoid a terror shock on a chair that's 99. Either you get terror shocked, or the hunter just waits and then hits, and you don't get the save anyways because you're locked in a hit animation. So I honestly think it was a huge misstep not going for that save earlier.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate right there, as you've said as well. Now then, the point system, as we can see for round 2, SugarBabies has 2 points and Ghost has 7 points. The points overall for SugarBabies is 7, and the points overall for Ghost is 10. Currently, Ghost does have a huge point advantage right here, with a 4-man elimination giving 0.5 points, and with Kudu's Hunter, SugarBabies Hunter against Ghost Survivor, that tie, giving both sides 2. So it's 7-2 right now, and now the tables have turned. Ghost has more points, SugarBabies have more pressure.
And honestly, they really need to Ghost. Like I said, I mean, like you said, the tables have turned here. We talked about it in round 1. 5-3, you don't need to overextend too much. You can play to draw it out. But realistically, now in a tournament like this, where we don't, I mean, overtime is listed, but we don't go into overtime. Once these 3 rounds finish, if they're drawed, if they both win 1 and they draw this round 3, it's looked at points. And in that case, Ghost has put them in a really solid position to come back from this first round loss.
Yeah, the only way for SugarBabies to win this is for their hunters to get a 3-man elimination minimum, and for their survivors to get a 3-man escape minimum. Yeah, the full pressure really is on SugarBaby's side. But also, not just how I was just talking about the points. If SugarBabies can't just win this round, even if it's by 1 point, it doesn't matter. SugarBabies take it home. But instead, if they tie, it's all for Ghost. So the pressure is still on for both teams, but more on SugarBaby's side, because they know that they need to win this round and not tie this round.
A lot of pressure coming in, and this is the exact same pressure that Ghost was facing in round 2. So I mean, we've seen teams thrive in here, so it's best not to count anybody out. This round 3 can be anybody's for the taking. We've seen realistically both sides 3-man in round 1. So I mean, it is very possible. So I'm honestly excited to see what this round 3 brings.
And then for round 3 map ban, we have Ghost Hunter not being able to pan, and we have SugarBaby Survivor decided to choose Lakeside Village for this one.
That is a map. This could be really solid, a really good choice for them. If they've practiced on this map and they're really familiar, not a lot of teams play on Lakeside, because you don't see Lakeside picked a lot in NA. I would say before this tournament, I think this tournament might have been the most that I've ever seen this map actually picked. So this could be really good if Ghost is not familiar with this map as much as SugarBabies is.
Yeah, now then, SugarBabies being able to choose their advantageous map right here, as we have seen. But all maps overall that SugarBabies has chosen is for their hunter to gain more advantage. Of course, their survivors can just adapt, but it's a little bit more important for them, for their hunters to take more advantage, so then they can gain more points.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. I mean, this is going to be very intense, and honestly, the air is really heavy in this round 3. I mean, this can be make or break for essentially both teams. I mean, if the hunter 3-man, that puts a lot of pressure on the survivors, the 3-man as well. I mean, it also puts the pressure on SugarBaby's hunter to secure this win if the survivors do open up that 3-man position.
Yeah. Now, what will SugarBabies choose? What will they ban. This is going to be very interesting to see as well. We know that there's a geisha. We also know that there's a violinist, but it's going to be highly unlikely for SugarBabies to be banning violinists on this map as well. We've seen them doing very well early game. It's just mid to late game that they messed up a little bit. They messed up a little bit for the hunters to gain full control over the survivors. So yeah, full pressure on SugarBabies right now. But as we can see, Ghost Hunter is going to come out first. Alex has banned the... it's the norm. It's the forward, seer, and the priestess.
I'm basing honestly. I honestly think that violence would be too risky to pick here. I mean, he did really well in the end game, but this is a very, very large map to be playing violinist on.
And now, it seems like they decided to ban the violinist instead. Am I wrong in saying Alex's Hunter has a hermit? I remember seeing them play hermit.
I am fairly confident they do, yes. I'm honestly really shocked that they banned violence on a map like this, but I mean, they saw how dangerous he was in the end game, so I don't know if they were really willing to put that risk in again.
Yeah, and the fact that it's Lakeside, but Lakeside is a really, really, really good map for Hermit. If they decide to not ban Hermit for this one, then it may be... I don't know. It seems like Ghost Hunter decided to ban all the thick survivors. You have Seer who's thick. You have a Psychologist who can literally just tank 3 hits. Priestess with a support and 4 with a support. If they decide not to ban the Hermit may be coming out for this one.
Honestly, and I think that would be the smarter play here. I mean, even with a Mercenary being available, I mean, that is the only character essentially that is going to be able to eat all of these hits, and these survivors realistically outside of Acrobat, I mean, they're going to struggle against somebody like Hermit. I mean, Toy Merchant has the ability to catapult away, but his other polarity is just like Wheel's Trap. It can honestly it will rip her out of her catapult animation if it goes on. So it's going to be super dangerous. If he does bring Hermit, the Toy Merchant is going to have to plan these catapults a lot better.
Yeah, and also it's the fact that this Hermit can snipe down the Toy Merchant midair as well. That's the most scary part about this one.
Yes. I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Toy Merchant is a very dangerous play. Prospector being the final pick here.
Prospector is not such a bad pick, but he has to run Flywheel for this one to bring out his true potential.
He does, because in a situation like this, he is the support and harass. Realistically, I mean, Acrobat can support with his red and mudball, but he is the main focus of harassing and support. So he needs to bring Flywheel to guarantee that he doesn't have to waste a magnet if he has to avoid a hit.
It's really up to SugarBabies Survivor right now, and for Ghost Hunter, I'm very intrigued on what Alex decides to choose for this last round. If he wants to gain more, or if he wants to play it more safe. If he does decide to play it more safe, though, the survivors may take that advantage point over the Hunter for them to gain more points, for Kuto to have an easier second half. But it's really up to Ghost right now how to decide to choose for their Hunter.
It's going to be a very rough one. It's going to be Sculptor. I mean, other than Toy Merchant, I don't think this is going to be like too difficult of a match for somebody like Sculptor. If she can build presence relatively early, they're going to struggle. The survivors are going to struggle to gain any sort of traction back in the match. The Mercenary is going to stay to guarantee a save, but that also opens up for not only a double hit if he can hit these statues, but also a double down.
Yeah, and as well from last game as well, we saw the Terror Shock. So Mercy, if Mercy was the forward from last game, he has to be very careful with this rescue now. If he gives another Terror Shock, the game will be completely over for SugarBabies. But as well as you said, everyone here is not such a bad chase. If it was me, I would go after Prospector or Acrobat. One of those two. If you chase after Prospector first, you don't need to bring excitements, because Prospector may be able to rebound kite, but if he uses his magnet early game for that early kite, he won't be having any magnets after his first or second chair. So it's really highly unlikely for Prospector to be able to rebound kite against a Sculptor, especially when it's already hard enough, as you said, to dodge the statues. Alongside with there's double 11, there's the shock, there's small bow, but they're all narrow walkways.
I think that's honestly what's gonna cause them to struggle. I mean, this is a bigger map, so some areas are open, but I think the majority of the loopable and tight kiting areas are really narrow, and it's going to open up a lot of opportunities to be hit by the statues.
Yeah. So now. It's really up to their personas as well. It's most likely going to be Mercenary and Toy Merchant gonna go. I think they can actually run triple tide for this one, but they don't. But because survivors do actually choose persona first before Hunter comes out, there's a high chance that it's going to be double tide, double flywheel, or one broken window, one flywheel. It's really up to them. But Prosy definitely will bring it out. Will be bringing out the flywheel in order to harass for a little bit longer and to contain as well.
I'm really excited to see how these survivors play. This is a super kind of off meta team combo. I mean, Acrobat and Mercenary are super on meta, but you don't really see them paired with somebody like Prospector and Merchant. So this is a really unique comp, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do.
Yeah. Now then we will need to have. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, now then we will proceed on to the bomb picks as soon as possible. This is GHS LX Hunter going Sculptor alongside with SugarBabies Survivor. They need to gain a lot. They really need to gain a lot for this one. But because it is Lakeside Village as well, if they decide to choose their spawn, there's 4 really great spawn points. Let's be honest. Mercy, middle. Toy Merchant, big bush. Prospector, Small Bow, and Acrobat Shack would be the best choices.
I agree completely. And Acrobat and Shack is going to be a really difficult chase, especially for a no present sculptor. So I honestly think that finding her chase is going to be the most difficult part of the match. But anything after that, once she starts building statues, is going to kind of turn in her favor. But again, it's all depending on how her end game comes out. Her end game is arguably the most important for any hunter. If she has only a few statues at the start of the game, and if she can hit those are really important because that's what builds a sculptor's presence early game, and that's what really depicts the sculptor. If she misses most of or all of those sculptors in the early game, her game essentially is going to struggle for the rest of the game unless she pulls off something amazing.
Yeah, especially with the fact that her attack animation is relatively slow as well. But as we can see here, it seems like they're gonna go for a straight line. Well, that's very normal.
We do see that in most tournaments, so I'm not too shocked about that. But it does look like he is aiming to chase the Prospector, and if I'm honest, that might be his best chase.
Yeah, definitely would be. But now, Prospector, there's still a chance for Prospector to be able to hide if LX did not learn off the area spawn selection, because depending on where you spawn as Hunter, survivors always spawn at the same location when it comes to a straight line in Lakeside. Now then, on to the game we go. We have LX Hunter versus SugarBaby Survivors.
He does see Prospector immediately, and honestly, like we talked about, this is going to be his best bet. And I honestly think that they knew coming into this match that Prospector is going to be the most open kite, because you do see he is taking arguably the second best area to kite.
Double 11 right here. Oh, being pushed back a little bit right here though. Alex decides to vault the window immediately. He needs to land this chip right here. Would this land? Did not land.
And this is what I'm meaning, not hitting these statues early game. Really long stun, gonna give him a ton of distance to kind of avoid break line of sight and keep him from being able to hit these accurate statues.
And then 7 seconds left on Flywheel to be ready. By the time Flywheel is ready, he can use Flywheel and then you throw another magnet out right now. Then can that start? Land. Did land? Acro? No,
there we
acro.
go. First statue hit coming in there. Okay, now he could bring this back if he gets a really fast second statue hit and blinks. I mean, he could put himself in a viable position.
Yeah. It seems like the Prospector has also grasped the blink time very well as well. But,
amazing blink canceling the magnet. Okay, he could realistically bring himself back into a match like this, but he's gonna have to chair right there and immediately force Mercenary out for a second. And this is a big risk of putting Mercenary in middle. Middle is a super important cipher to get done, and if you play your slowest decoding, you're opening yourself up for cipher and double cipher pressure here from the Sculptor. Amazing job.
But it still seems like this is going to be a tight game for the Sculptor, though. If she decided to give the Mercenary a no damage rescue because of her chip, oh no, never mind, just decided to immediate rescue at 25%. But Mercenary, ooh, I nearly got the chip right there.
Dodging the chip right there.
Ooh,
Immediately
that
down
was
to the Prospector. That is really good. And like I said, like we talked about, this is looking like a really solid drop position. It was a really solid kite, but the blank and the statue had really brought them back into this, and honestly brought them back into this for only a draw. But
Now, if SugarBabies Survivor wants to aim for a 4-man endgame, they need Acrobat to come to rescue right now, or Toy Merchant, but I say Acrobat is more of a safer option. Even though he does not have Tie Turner, he does have his red ball, but it seems like they're going to play it more safe to go on and heal the Mercenary first.
realistically, a very a strong way of guaranteeing the Prospector having a rebound is they need. I honestly think to buy Prospector enough time, they need Oh, I thought he had a chip hit there. Did he not? Two of them.
He got a double chip hit on the.
Yeah, amazing job. They need the double save, so I think what they're doing is Prospector is Mercenary is going to save. Amazing job, but Acrobat's just going to red ball immediately here.
It's a mud ball?
A mud ball. I suppose it's okay, but I mean, full presence shoulder is really dangerous to not red ball.
Takiri needs to be very careful with his.
And
oh wait,
exactly.
that didn't merge. I was about to say that was about to merge.
I honestly think red ball might have been a better play.
Red ball definitely would have been better right there to give less pressure for the Prospector to rebound kite. Right now, Prospector is one chip down.
Amazing dead hard. Really, Prospector is doing an amazing job taking all he can get here and forcing her to spend as much time here. It sadly is looking like a draw, but the slow scared me.
Acrobat needs not Acrobat. Prospector needs to be a bit careful there, but it seems like there's only one cipher remaining. The Toy Merchant is trying to heal up the Mercenary as fast as possible, so then the Toy Merchant and the Mercenary can be at full health to not give Sculptor any opening for a really fast second chair. Right now, then, Alex wants to aim for more, but this is a fast map as well. Not a fast map, a big map as well, so it's not going to be that easy to find anyone.
But if you look, their cipher progress is very, very like. It's not as much as it needs to be because Mercenary has been down this entire time. So there is no cyber progress on this final cyber here.
And it seems like the Toy Merchant decided to jump down immediately alongside with the fact that Sculptor has one set statue remaining. There's a huge chance that it's going to be a double chip. One chip on the Toy Merchant right there. And
I honestly think the Sculptor should have chose the amazing job. Amazing job being done there. If Toy Merchant would have got that catapult off, that would have been extremely detrimental to the mid game of the Sculptor. But honestly, getting that down as early as she did and having no cyber progress on this last cyber is putting her in a really good position for more than just a draw now.
Yeah, and with that very precise blink as well, right now Toy Merchant is going to go down immediately and will be charged near beach. The one fatal mistake she made was jumping off Big Boat. So now her catapult, not her catapult. Yeah, her catapult is not. She's not be able to fly anymore to contain for a little bit longer. As we see as well, Toy Merchant is the one with the second Tie Turner. Only Mercenary can now decode and Acrobat can now rescue. They're very far away. Mercy was at small boat. He did use self-heal, so he needs to be very careful as well when Sculptor uses her chisel to try to chip the Mercy down near that cipher. But also the problem is the Acro can't sell. They cannot sell. The cipher is definitely not enough because there is the cipher. It's a full cipher remaining at the end of the day.
I agree. They cannot afford to sell either. Especially with the chip, the chip that the Sculptor has been hitting. I mean, they've been relatively accurate with the spike chips. I mean, we saw the Toy Merchant give up 2 of them. So if he can find a balance between pressing the cypher with spike and essentially finding where the rescue is coming from and being able to somewhat cut them off, that puts him in a very, very dangerous position.
But also, there is still a chance that Merc could finish off that cipher. It really depends on how Acrobat rescues right now. As we see Acrobat 23% decoded. Does this seem like Mercenary wants to come in for rescuing instead? No, Mercenary is looking for an item very far away. This is not good at all, but it seems like he's going to carry an extra item for himself. Yeah, elbow pad and a wand.
Elbow pad is the only way that he makes this before half, and if he does not before half, but he makes this at all, I mean, but it's going to be very risky. One statue and a basic hit is going to immediately knock it down. So I think having Mercenary come in is a huge risk.
Yeah, but Acrobat Cypher is going at 73% right now, though. Mercenary did not bring his
Very
wand with him.
difficult,
That is
very
one hit.
And again, this is looking like more than a draw now. This is looking like the 3-man that they were aiming for.
If this is a 3-man, then Kutu has to go for a 4-man elimination right here. But what is the problem? The problem is the Acrobat has to contain until the Mercy dies. Yeah.
I don't know now. Mercenary has a really long cure. I honestly think you should have popped Cyber to at least, at the very minimum, pressure all 3 forms of the game. Now Ghost Hunter has to watch both gates as well as Dungeon, but now he essentially took that away from himself and he has to play for Dungeon now. And it's going to be difficult playing with somebody like Mercenary's chair that's that long.
Acrobat needs to be very careful here as well, though. He can't give Sculptor any ways to chip him. Being a small ball right here is a really good way to chip the Acrobat down, but it seems like he decides to jump down immediately. We also need to note that the Sculptor did bring confined space for this one, so if Acrobat wants to contain for another 40 seconds, this is going to be really hard. But there's still a jump space right here. There's a jump space right here. Acrobat decides to jump down immediately, but Sculptor knows what the Acrobat's going to do.
Acrobat's doing a wonderful job pressuring and kiting until this dungeon opens.
Okay, that chip did land though.
Needs to get 2 really quick chips here.
Oh wait,
Amazing job! As Mercenary was dying, if that chip doesn't hit, Acrobat makes dungeon. Amazing job from Ghost here. This is a 4-man. They were looking for a 3-man, but again, the end game and mid game being played absolutely almost flawlessly from the Sculptor. Amazing job.
Oh my lord, Acrobat did a really good job as well containing the Sculptor for as long as possible till the dungeon gets open, but it does seem like Alex's Sculptor gained more advantage points right there because he did have no pressure, to be fair. But as well as that, it seems like Ghost can't take this game home right now with that 4-man elimination, because even if Kudu gets the 4-man elimination, it's still a win for Ghost at the end of the day with the point system.
And look at these last 2 matches. Like I said, amazing end game and late game, mid game and end game being played by LX right now. I mean, the Antonio match really got saved by his mid and his cipher control. And again, same thing here. He got a relatively fast read down on Toy Merchant and that turned the game around for him.
Yeah. Now then, on to the match stats we go. We have GHS, LX Sculptor, with 1 cipher remaining, 3 pallets destroyed, 20 strikes, and 7 knockdowns. Mercenary 77% decoded, 2 rescue, no heals, 44-second containment. Acrobat 227 decoding progress, 2 heals, and 43-second containment. RV Sapphire Toy Merchant with 200% decoding, 1 pallet strike, and 19-second containment, alongside with Prospector with a 107-second containment. It's Toy Merchant's really fast down from Sculptor that led the Sculptor to gain a 4-man elimination for this one.
I agree. Amazing work by this Hunter, controlling the mid game and end game as he has for 2 rounds now.
Yeah, to be fair, the Toy Merchant we didn't really see too much of Toy Merchant support due to the fact that this is a big map as well, and the Prospector decided to rotate immediately towards the bullet 11 and the small ball to contain for as long as possible. But I guess at the end of the day, I still think Acrobat should have used the red ball. If Acrobat used the red ball out there, the Prospector definitely could have went into the shack and contained for a little bit longer. Even with Mercenaries double down, that is okay, because the Prospector has no pressure at all rotating into the shack, knowing that the Sculptor can't use her skills for the next 5 seconds. But because it was a mud ball instead, little did they know, phase 2 has already been opened, and the Sculptor's statues are precise as hell.
I agree. I mean, and increasingly it just shows the danger of letting the Sculptor into full presence. I mean, it doesn't matter what stage in the game you are. I mean, Sculptor full presence is super dangerous, and the double down with the Mercenary and not being able to decode the final cipher as well as nobody else starting the cipher really came back to hurt them with absolutely like the lack of cipher progress that they had with that final cipher.
Yeah, we have seen SugarBabies as well. Their first game was really good, but their round 2 and their round 3, they started to mess up mid to late game a little bit due to communication issues, I suppose. But also because of that, the Hunter is able to gain full advantage over the Survivor's mistakes.
A wonderful game being played, and honestly, the early game was really great again from the Survivors.
Yeah. But of course, that is all the time we have for the first semi-finals. We have our second semi-final in around. Well, there'll be a timer on the screen, of course. But today, this is SugarBabies versus Ghost for week 3, day 1 for our semi-finals. Let's congratulate Ghost for winning, and let's also congratulate SugarBabies for showing us such spectacular gameplays.
Yes, GG's and congratulations to both teams.